Now, I've had lots of different foldable electric bikes here up on the channel, but nothing quite like this. This is the all-new Urtopia Carbon Fold 1, and this thing literally sets itself apart when it comes to folding electric bikes. Something like this is something that I would not be able to do with any other folding bike that I have here up on the channel, weighing 29 pounds. Now, this bike is going to be for a specific niche. Now, whether you want to put this in your trunk of your car or you have a very tight living situation, this one might be the one for you. So let's talk about the specs. So when you're shopping for that foldable electric bike, one of the first things you might notice compared to what you're looking at versus the fold one that's behind me, the fact that these wheels are 18 inches compared to the traditional 20-inch wheel that you'll find on most foldable electric bikes. But that's for good reason. Usually when people are buying a foldable electric bike, they're doing it to be able to fit into a tighter space, not necessarily thinking about weight savings. Now, the 18-inch wheel is the main reason why you got this bike down to 29 pounds. Not to mention the fact that this thing is carbon fiber and not sacrificing any max load capacity, being the fact that that's 220 pounds. Let's jump into the specs. Now, the Carbon Fold 1, normally retailing at $24.99, is now $18.99 for a limited time only. So definitely check out that link in the description below to be able to keep up to date on the latest pricing. Now, like I said earlier, the bike weighs in at 29 pounds, and that's due to the carbon fiber frame, fork, and handlebar. The max range you can get out of this bike is 40 miles with a top speed of 20 miles per hour, and that's all out of a 500-watt hub motor with 42 newton meters of torque. Now, when you couple that with a 36-volt 7-amp-hour battery pack with 5 pedal assist levels, that seems to be pretty good on the surface, but we'll be diving into this in our testing. The Fold 1 also accommodates riders between 5'1" and 6'1" with the adjustable seat post, which also doubles as a battery casing. Now, let's talk about that. Now, when it comes to the battery on most foldable electric bikes, there's usually two different main options. Either they put it here on the back end of the frame, making you fold down the saddle and slide the battery out, or option number two, you unlatch this part of the frame, fold the bike inward, and slide the battery out of the frame, which I kind of like that approach more than the battery being on the back end of the frame. But this one takes it a step further. It's encased into the seat post, and this is the casing to help protect the battery. Let me show you how this works. There's a little button here on the bottom part of the seat post that you would push in, releasing the cable. After you get the cable released, you release the quick release for the seat post, and the battery comes out. Let's take a look on the inside part. Now, when you look on the inside of the casing, you'll see a decal signifying that this battery pack is a 36-volt 7-amp-hour battery pack, and this battery is UL certified. I actually find it pretty unique of a design and also allowing you to be able to store the bike elsewhere and charge in the bike. Speaking of that, there's a little opening here underneath the nose of the seat, allowing you to be able to charge up your battery. Now, to round things off, you get a 53.2 chainring up front, coupled together with an 8-speed Shimano cassette, an Altus derailleur, an 8-speed trigger shifter, and a built-in display. Now, one of the most notable features with a foldable bike is the fact that it is able to fold down, and this thing folds down with ease. Literally the easiest folding bike I've ever dealt with, and the fact that this thing has magnets on it to help keep it closed is definitely a major plus. And last but not least, this bike comes with a torque sensor, and if you've been following my channel for quite some time, you know I much prefer a torque sensor over a cadence sensor for the sole fact that it really does feel like a traditional bike when you're riding, except you're getting rewarded for the effort you put into it. With that being said, let's get this thing on the trail and see what it's capable of before the snow comes, because it's going to be snowing so much this week. All right, so we just ran through the specs of the Fold and who this bike is for, but at the end of the day, we really want to know what the real power output of this thing's going to be in real world conditions. It's pretty windy out today, pretty cold as well, so let's see what each one of these pedal assist levels feels like, starting with no pedal assist at all. What is the restriction that we have here? Let me gear it down, get it started. And there's a little bit of resistance there. Let me stop pedaling. Yeah, I feel a little bit of resistance. Let's get it up to the next level, which is eco. Gear it up. Now, the speedometer on the handlebar is showing 10.8, 10.9, 11 miles an hour. On my phone, just pretty close, about 1 mile an hour off, 10 mile an hour. Put in Tour, gear it up. 15 miles per hour on their display, 14 miles per hour on mine. Let's put in Smart. 16 miles per hour in their display, 15 miles per hour in mine. This is called Boost. Ooh, I feel a bit of a lag there, like a little bit of resistance as well. Pushing pretty hard on the cranks. If I push through the resistance, I'm able to push the bike. Let's see if I can get up to, there's 22 miles per hour on their display, 20 miles per hour on mine, 21, but there is a bit of resistance. Let's talk about this. Now let's talk about that resistance I was feeling, not only at a rolling speed, but the top speed. And this is something that's pretty common all across the board on hub drive motors. Now with that being said, there is a governor on this bike to be able to stop you from going over 20 miles per hour. And that's that resistance I was feeling at that top speed. It's not to say I couldn't push through it, but it definitely took some effort. Now when it came to the rolling resistance, this is pretty common, but not in all hub drive motor bikes. Now I had the bike in basically pedal assist level 0 to give an idea on how this bike would feel if it was powered down or had a dead battery. With that being said, there was some type of resistance because once I stopped pedaling, I felt like it would slow me down to a complete stop. It wasn't quite the feeling of maybe like a rubbing brake pad, but it definitely was enough that I would notice it. Now the torque that this bike put out was pleasantly surprising. As soon as I put some effort into that bottom bracket, I was getting rewarded for that effort. There's no question about that. Now I did feel it top out at certain points. Like I said, as soon as you hit that top speed marker, the governor kind of kicks in. With that being said, these brakes locked up on the dime, really surprised about that. You're not gonna find a throttle on this bike, and as well as a lot of different bikes that are coming out this year in 2025 and onward, which I've talked about in my legislation videos when it comes to licensing laws and legislation all around electric bikes, which you can find in the description below. With that being said, if you guys are interested in this Urtopia or any other Urtopia that they have to offer, click the link in the description below. If you guys like this video, drop a like. If you love it, hit the subscribe button, and catch you in the next one.